In today's episode of Audit Austin Code Compliance, let's once again go visit this area between 4th and 5th Street, just east of the interstate here in Austin, Texas. And let me walk you through my latest attempt to see if Austin Code Compliance would hold this property owner accountable for the work without permit that's happened. So here you can see a photograph from February of 2016. What happened here is the railroad tracks used to come up this way. But this is a very important piece of real estate. So what they did was they rerouted the tracks and put them down this way. And they did this because Capital Metro is going to develop this whole piece of property, which they pay absolutely no taxes on. All these other businesses pay taxes. Capital Metro pays nothing on this piece of property. Zero taxes. Now they've torn out these buildings here. They've moved the tracks, so now they have a big empty field here. They're going to put condos in here. They're going to flip this property, put condos in, put in a nice rail station, and make a ton of money. But in the meantime, now again, there are no permits for moving the tracks or doing any of the work here on the street. That was all done without paying a single dime to the taxpayers of the City of Austin for any permits, no inspections. Also, this parking lot right here, you can see the opening right here on San Marcos Street. This parking lot is for all of these businesses over here. You have to pay to park here. If you don't, you'll be towed. There's a parking thing right here. It's all illegal. There is not one permit, not one site plan that permits this to happen. But yet every day in the City of Austin, citizens and businesses are being dragged into court for things like putting in a light switch or perhaps their fence is too tall. Here we have a business partner for the City of Austin who has developed this area without any permits at all, without any site plans. And let me walk you through exactly what the Austin Code Department did when I turned this in. It is Monday, December 12th of 2016, and I'm between 5th Street and 4th Street in Austin, Texas. This tract of land is owned by Capital Metro, and this has been turned in several times by myself, and every time I turned it in, the Code Department just closes the cases and says there are no code violations here. So this time I turned it in just to see what would happen. And they did exactly that. They just closed the case and said it was a duplicate case, no violations found, and closed it. So what we turned in was this illegal parking lot here. I don't believe there's a site plan for this parking lot. Last time I looked, there was not. More importantly, the tall grass and weeds. The city is very clear that you must maintain your property in a sanitary condition. So it doesn't take long to see that, there's still boards hanging around here. You see a lot of survey stakes up in here because this is eventually, now that they've moved the railroad tracks off the middle of the property to the south end of the property, this will soon be big condominiums like this one right here with retail underneath. But in the meantime, Capital Metro has been leasing this space out to all of these businesses over here for parking space because there's no street parking, very little street parking. And so they're operating a parking lot, but I don't think they're zoned or even have a permit, a site plan for doing this. And again, parking lots shouldn't be mud pits like this. They shouldn't have tall grass and weeds. There's litter all through here. And this hasn't been cut in probably the last 2 months. I drive past her all the time, and you can see exactly what's going on here. So we're going to take a quick walk down here and show you some of the highlights. And then we're going to pose this question on why the City of Austin Code Inspector Luther Perez would just close his case and state that there were no violations here, or that this was a duplicate case without referencing an active case, because there is no active case. They've always closed the cases. And again, one of the things You cannot allow standing water. You should be grading your property so you don't have standing water like these mud potholes that are all over the place. You got big timbers that are left over here from old railroad ties. And again, the tall grass and weeds. But for the most part, it is the fact that this is an illegal parking lot. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody who just had a piece of property could throw up some signs and charge people to park on it without any city ordinances or overview? Well, of course you can't do that. But if you're Capital Metro and you're protected by the code department, you can apparently do whatever you want to do. So we're in the middle of the lot here. You can see we've walked one street over, and you can see there's just these big mud pits like this. This used to be the crossing when the tracks were over on the other side. There was a pedestrian crossing to get across here, but since they moved the tracks, all of that has changed. And you can see the cardboard and plastic and all the other trash that's over on this lot, and the thing is overgrown. And one doesn't have to walk very far and you see all the trash along here. If this were a paved parking lot and somebody was responsible for cleaning it on a regular basis, it probably wouldn't look like this, but it's not. And it looks like this. Trash underneath that car. And again, you can just see it all over here. I don't know what the hell that is. Here's a bucket with standing water in it. It's winter time, but normally that would be breeding mosquitoes. I think you get the picture. Now over here you see more mud pits, more down fencing. So it's very clear that if this were anybody else's property, if somebody had a blank lot and they were waiting for the values to come up or waiting to get their funding and permits in place, and they decided, hey, wait a minute, let's run a parking lot thing out of this so we can get some income coming in. Oh, to hell with it, we don't need permits. We don't need to worry about the tall grass, all of the trash that's going to accumulate, because we've got 2 council members on our board of directors, and they'll just make everything go away. So the question is did the council advise the code department just to look the other way for code violations on Capital Metro property? Or perhaps it was the director of Austin Code or some of the management of Austin Code. I have nothing to support this, but what if the code inspectors are on the take? What if they're getting paid a little bit of extra money just to look the other way and close any complaints about this property that is owned by Capital Metro? So many questions, so many doors I've got to knock on. And we're going to start with the current code inspector and his case log. I've already done a PIR to the City of Austin Planning and Development Company to figure out just if they have this proper permits in place or not. My guess is not. Well, I did a public information request to the Development Services Department for building plan records for the lot you just looked at. And on January the 3rd of 2017, I received an email that said, "Thank you for contacting the City of Austin. The city does not have any information that is responsive to your request. Attached above is your PIR number, which is 31293. So there are no permits. There's no site plan, nothing for this Capital Metro lot. And again, here's the Law Department PIR here. I specifically asked, I said there was a dirt parking lot on East 5th Street on the east side of IH-35 frontage road that extends several blocks up to including 1109 East 5th Street. I would like to inspect the approved site plan for this property that allows the owner to operate a dirt parking lot and charge fees for parking. It is my understanding one needs COA approved site plan." And nothing. There is no site plan. So the question remains, why would Troy Collins continuously close any code violation submitted on this piece of property? Luther Perez closed the complaint on 800 East 4th Street, but processed a complaint for 901 East 5th Street. Says he sent a notice of violation. We've done an open records request for that information. Let's see if Luther Perez is the stand-up guy who will once and for all red tag this parking lot, close it down like they would anybody else until Capital Metro can get all of their permits in place.